So we all know about the iconic, classic films of Cantinflas, Vicente Fernandez, Pedro Infante, Antonio Aguilar, and the Chespirito series. But what about the modern Mexican films? Today, let's dive into 10 Mexican Chicano themed films that you definitely need to check out. Let's get into it. ¿Cómo andamos? Aquí, Rolando with Pipiripau, and today I'm sharing a list of 10 películas that explore the theme of Mexican culture, the identity, and some of the struggles that go along with it. Some of these films are my personal favorite. You may have heard of them, you may have not, maybe you've even seen some of them, but they're definitely worth watching. These movies may not have the same hype as the Marvel movies, Avatar, Lord of the Rings, which are not bad films, but the films we're about to list are about real-life experiences, and honestly, they feel more authentic and raw. Ok, entonces con eso hay que empezar la lista de mis 10 películas favoritas que exploran la identidad, la cultura y la historia mexicana chicana. Ahí les va la número 1. Amores Perros. So this one was one of the first Spanish language films that I watched back in the days that really impressed me. Amores Perros es una película emocionante que toma parte en la Ciudad de México, where a deadly car crash triggers a series of events for 3 people: a supermodel, a dogfighter, and a homeless man, todo conectándolos por el amor a los perros. Ya no estoy aquí. Tenía curiosidad de mirar esta película por su música. Esta película nos transporta a la cultura juvenil de Monterrey. A young street gang spends their time dancing to slow cumbias, or más bien conocidas como cumbias rebajadas. After a run-in with the local cartel, their leader is forced to migrate to the US, but soon finds himself wanting to come back home, a place where it's no longer the same. La Ley de Herodes. Esta película me la recomendó un primo hace un tiempo atrás. Se trata de lo que pasaría en un rancho pequeño cuando un político sin poder termina teniendo todo el poder. This film is a political satire on how the system functions in Mexico. Radical. Siguiendo con el tema de la corrupción, this film was based on true events, where a teacher from Matamoros, Mexico, challenges the corruption in the educational system, changing the lives of his students by unlocking their curiosity and potential. It's a film about education, transformation, and hope. Blood in, blood out. Right, so now we're getting into the Vatos Locos Forever film. This one, I saw it back in the 90s in El Cine. This was a long 3-hour film, but it didn't feel like it, because the story kept moving forward. The film follows brothers Paco and Cruz and their cousin Miklo, members of an East LA gang. After a violent crime, Miklo is in prison, Cruz battles heroin addiction, and Paco becomes a cop. I haven't seen this film in a long time, so I'm gonna have to watch it again very soon. Como agua para chocolate. So this movie I saw back in high school. It's a little bit blurry on my mind, but I know it was very iconic. Esta película takes place during the Mexican Revolution. It's a very surreal love story where a heartbroken woman named Tita pours all her emotions into her cooking. Turns out that whatever she's feeling ends up in the food, and anyone who eats her food feels heartbroken too. Apocalipto. This one is different from the rest, but I had to mention it because it's a dope film, even if it's not 100% accurate. Apocalipto takes place in the Mayan civilization, where a man's life goes into chaos when his tribe is invaded. Make sure to watch towards the end because they give you a glimpse of something I wish they'd explore more of or made part 2 of Apocalipto. Roma. So if you're not a fan of black and white films like I used to be, let this one be the exception. It is a masterpiece. Esta película de Alfonso Cuarón nos lleva a la Ciudad de México de los años 70 y sigue la vida de Cleo, una trabajadora doméstica. A real and raw look at daily life, exploring not only Cleo's struggles, but also the life of the family she works for. The Long Game. So this one is also based on a true story. I'm not going to say too much because I think you should see it, even if you're not a fan of golf. So this film is an underdog story about 5 Mexican-American caddies who faced discrimination when they weren't allowed to play golf at the very country club that they worked at. Instead of backing down, they built their own golf course. And that is just the beginning. The good thing about this film, again, is that you don't need to like golf to enjoy it. La Bamba. Finalmente, La Bamba. Esta película es una de mis favoritas, aunque ya la he mirado como 1,000,000 de veces. This film is a biographical film about Richie Valenzuela, más bien conocido como Richie Valens, who became famous in the 1950s con la canción de Donna. La película se trata sobre la música, la familia y la búsqueda del sueño americano. If you haven't seen this one, you're missing out on a great film with even better music. Spare Parts. Alright, so now the final one. I know we said the top 10, but this one me la recomendó el carnal. I personally haven't seen it, but I know that George Lopez stars in it. From what I know, what I've read, it's about 4 Mexican-American students who build a robot and end up competing against MIT in a national competition. Sounds interesting. I'll definitely have to check it out. A ver cómo está. So there you have it, 10 películas that showcase Mexican filmmakers, Mexican culture, or showcase Mexican or Chicano stories. So before you go, antes que se vayan, make sure to drop a comment below. Let us know which of these films is your favorite. Is there a film you think we should have mentioned? Make sure to subscribe for more content like this. Y nos vemos hasta la próxima.